Okay, there's the recording. Okay. Welcome everybody to the webinar for the Space Grant Scholarship and Fellowship Programs. This is an informational session. It looks like there's just a handful of us here, but we're going to go through this anyway and record it and post the recording so other students can see it. And I apologize if there's some background noise. There's a minor plumbing issue in my house getting repaired right now, so there may be some background noise, so I apologize if that comes through. I am Eric Wilcox. I am the statewide director for Nevada NASA Space Grant and EPSCoR programs, and I'm a research professor in the Atmospheric Sciences Division at the Desert Research Institute. I'm going to ask the other staff that are present to introduce themselves as well. Darlene, do you want to go ahead?
Hello, I am Darlene Aranda. I help Eric administer the programs, and I am the student point of contact.
Thank you. Arlene?
Yes, hi, I'm Marlene Herrera. I am the research administrator for the programs.
And Marcy?
Hi, I'm Marcy Jackson. I'm the director of the NSHE System Administration Sponsored Programs Office.
Great, thank you very much. So as Darlene noted, she's our main point of contact for students. So often if you're a student and you inquire with us, whether a question for clarification or whatever, or any sort of difficulty, you're probably going to hear from Darlene, but we work as a team, and all the team here helps us work through all the issues, and that's why everybody's here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through the two solicitations for the scholarship program and the fellowship, just sort of hit the high points and what's required in the applications. I'm going to probably, I'll walk through the scholarship one, and then I'll quickly go through the graduate fellowship one, just touching on the things that are different, because they're pretty similar. And then we will open it up for questions at the end. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Okay. So I always like to start by showing the website. That's the website's our landing spot and where you find information about our programs. The URL is at the top here, which you may not be able to see, but if you just Google Nevada NASA programs, it's usually the top hit. It always is for me. In fact, that's what I do when I need to go to our website. I just go type Nevada NASA programs into Google. If you click on the navigation tabs at the top here where it says funding opportunities, that'll take you to the funding opportunities. And we always have here a long list of opportunities that are available. And we usually have our student opportunities at the top. And so the first two here are the ones that we're going to be talking about today. Just using the undergraduate scholarship as an example. If you press the button here that says learn more about this opportunity, it takes you to a landing page specific to the scholarship program, including some general information about the program, the focus and the eligibility and the scholarship amount. I'm going to go through those details in a moment. The award period, an announcement of this meeting that we're doing right now. And then the key thing are at the key two things here are at the bottom. One is the application deadline. So for the undergraduate scholarship, that will be Friday, March 6th at 5 p.m. Is the absolute deadline to apply for this program. And then there's a link at the very bottom here where it says solicitation. And if you click that link, that takes you to a PDF file. I'm going to go back here, and I've already got that PDF file open, so I'm going to bring that up here. So this is the PDF file, and this is the full information for the solicitation, all the details about the program and how to apply for it. And so this is the document I'm going to walk through. On the cover page, again, the solicitation deadline. This is the deadline to submit your application. And we always try to emphasize that we cannot accept any applications for any of our programs that come after the deadline in order to keep the competition fair. You will be submitting your proposal, an application through our website. And from time to time, it is possible that there is a technical problem that interferes with that submission. So we always tell people at this meeting and whenever we get the chance, when you're applying for our programs, please do not wait until 5 minutes before that 5 p.m. deadline on March 6th to upload your application. Please get started a little bit early so that if you run into technical difficulty, you have time to respond to that. Our contact information, which we'll get to at the end of this document, is there. You can reach out to us. We can accept applications by email if you encounter technical difficulty submitting through our website and you can't figure out how to resolve it, or we can't help you resolve it. We can accept your application by email before the deadline, but again, only if we receive that email before that 5 p.m. deadline. So if you wait till 5 p.m. and then you run into a technical difficulty and then you email us your application at 5:15, we can't accept it. The other important thing about our solicitations is, please, when you download this PDF file, please do not open it just in your browser. Open it in Adobe Acrobat, because we do include some attachments. So if you go to the right-hand side of the viewer in the Adobe Acrobat Reader, you'll see a little paperclip here. And if you click that paperclip, you'll see that there's a few additional PDF files attached here. These are PDF files that are useful for preparing your application and are referred to in the document. These include a copy of NASA's strategic plan, a more detailed document with NASA research and development priorities, and then some guidelines on developing what we call SMART goals or SMART objectives for your proposal, just to make your application a little bit more compelling. We'll return to those in a moment, but remember to open in Adobe Acrobat so that you have this ability to open the attachments and see these additional files. Let's see. So eligibility for the undergraduate scholarship. To be eligible, you must be a full-time undergraduate student enrolled at a Nevada System of Higher Education institution. And you must be pursuing a degree in a NASA-related STEM discipline. The purpose of the Space Grant Program is STEM education and STEM workforce development. And so we're really looking to fund students to do project-based activities in a STEM discipline. And you will be, and we're going to talk about this as we go along, you will be obligated in your application to specify how the project that you're proposing to do in your application relates to NASA's interests and NASA's strategic plans. And that's why we've included some of those documents there for you to refer to. Some further details here on the eligibility. In addition to being full-time at an NSHE institution and a STEM student in a STEM degree program, you must be in good academic standing and eligible to receive financial aid. Your scholarship is provided by us through the financial aid office, so you have to have good standing with them. And your project that you're proposing to do in your application must be supervised by at least one NSHE faculty member. So you need to find a faculty member willing to mentor your project. And again, if you're unsure about that part of it, we'll talk about that as we go along. The undergraduate scholarship, scrolling down here to the award amount, is $3,000. For the undergraduate scholarship, and only the undergraduate scholarship, you can apply either to receive the scholarship during the summer, so that would be the summer 2026 term, the upcoming summer term, or during the academic year next year, which would be the 2026-27 academic year. So you must specify whether you're applying for a summer scholarship or for the academic year scholarship If you apply for the summer scholarship, you'll receive the scholarship amount, the full $3,000 at the beginning of the summer session. If you apply for the academic year, you'll receive $1,500 each at the beginning of each semester of the academic year. Let's see. Funds will be distributed at the beginning of each term, as I just said. You must be full-time enrolled through the academic year. You must be in good academic standing and continually mentored through your project with a faculty member. And in addition, you are obligated to present a poster at our meeting in the spring of 2027, which will be in Reno. For the undergraduate scholarship, you can apply as either a lower division student or an upper division student. We're broadly open to undergraduate students at either of those levels. We do take note of how many lower division and how many upper division students applied, and we do try to give out the awards in a proportional amount so that we do, if we have a meaningful number of lower division students apply, that we give a proportionate number of awards to the lower division students as a way of encouraging students at all levels through this program. And then the other key thing about our programs is that priority will be given to new applicants. So if you've had the scholarship, and this applies to the fellowship as well, if you've had the scholarship, like in the current year, and you want to apply for the next year, you can do that, but we will give priority to new applicants. And that's just, again, a way of us distributing the money to a broader cross-section of students and expanding the impact of the program. Here's the details of the application process. The application must be submitted online. You will go to our website. There's a link here to the actual site where you submit. There will be an application form there, so you'll fill out some information on that application form, and then you will upload a PDF file with your proposal and other supporting documents for your project. And we'll talk about those details in just a moment. Again, we ask that you submit through this web link. That's helpful for us because we gather information about all of our applicants through that web form. That's why we want you to apply through the website. But again, in the rare event that you encounter some technical difficulty, we can accept your application via email if you email that PDF form to us, or your PDF file with your application ahead of the 5 p.m. deadline on the deadline day. In your the PDF file that you will be uploading with your application, you will include a project description. For the undergraduate scholarship, that's a 2-page maximum. It's essentially a proposal for a small project that you are going to do that is, again, mentored by a faculty member. In your application, if you are referencing or citing published literature, that's fine. You can include a list of references and citations that's not included in your 2-page limit. We asked for transcripts. These do not have to be official sealed transcripts. Unofficial transcripts that you acquire through the registrar at your school are fine. And you can just bundle that in as part of your PDF file. And then a biographical sketch. So both the student that's applying and the faculty mentor, we ask that you provide a CV or biographical sketch. And new this year is we are asking, let's see. No, this is, this includes the student CV builder, sorry. So we encourage you to use the student CV builder here if you don't have a resume or CV already prepared. And then a recommendation letter. So the faculty member that you ask to mentor your project or who has agreed to mentor your project, please include a letter of support and a letter of recommendation from that faculty member. At least one letter. If you have additional letters of recommendation, you may include those as well. And then the last element of your application is a student statement of interest. So this is separate from your proposal. This is more about you. We want an expression from the student, an overview of your background, any experiences you have that you believe are relevant to your development as a STEM student or your interest in NASA in particular, or topics that are relevant to NASA, how you became interested in those, why you're interested in those, what your career goals are, especially if you have a particular interest in a NASA-related career or a STEM career. Please articulate your interests and how you came to those interests. You should receive a confirmation when you make your application. Again, if you don't, or you're having that technical difficulty, please feel free to reach out to Darlene. Her contact information is here, and she can verify if your application was received. So if you go through the whole upload process and for whatever reason you don't see the confirmation, it ended up in your spam, or we had a technical issue and it didn't generate or whatever, reach out to Darlene. She can confirm that your application was received. The 2-page, so if you scroll back up here, the project description has a 2-page max. What are we looking for specifically in that document? That is what is detailed in this bullet list here. So your 2-page project description must include a title, an abstract, a brief abstract, 50 to 100 words that just gives a brief summary of the project and its goals. You should include some introduction and some background. So give us some context for the project. Why is this project interesting or important? How does it fit into broader context? The research objectives and hypotheses of the project, and then your methodology. So how are you going to study those research objectives, or how are you going to test that hypothesis that you have posed? Please also include a timeline for the project. So when are you going to conduct the project? Include, if you can, some milestones and when you expect to meet those milestones. And then plans for dissemination. So how are you going to communicate this? Again, preparing a poster for our statewide meeting is an obligation. You might also consider showing that same poster at the undergraduate research symposia that the universities and colleges put on. If you are planning on providing a report to somebody who's interested in the project, or even considering publication of the work, please describe that as well. Again, all of this is in a 2-page limit. Please, it can be single-spaced, but please leave at least 1-inch margins, and please use a 12-point font. So don't expand out beyond those 1-inch margins, or use a really small print in order to get more content into those 2 pages. And then I just want to jump back up here to this point that's right above this bullet point list. You must pitch a research project that aligns with a NASA mission directorate. And in fact, I believe in that application form, we're going to ask you which mission directorate your project is aligned with, because NASA asks us to report that information to them. So you're going to want to refer to, again, these documents that are in the attachments here. The strategic plan sort of talks about NASA's strategic goals kind of broadly. And then this research priorities document should give some more details about the specific science mission, or sorry, the specific mission directorates within NASA. And if there are questions about that, you can always reach out to us. And if there's enough time before the deadline, I can even provide you a little bit of input if I can, based on my own knowledge and experience with NASA. That NASA relevance is important. It's one of the review criteria. And so we do ask you to be as specific as you can. So if your background is science, for example, don't just say because my project relates to space science, this aligns with the Science Mission Directorate. Be as specific as you can. Look in the Science Mission Directorate details in this priorities document and see if you can find some key phrases in that document that relate to the project that you are talking. If it's earth science, and you find in there something about one of the hydrology missions, and your project is hydrology, and you're proposing maybe to use some data that's relevant or comes from NASA, include those details in your proposal to make that alignment with NASA truly concrete as best you can. Let's see here. As we noted, the project must be mentored by an NC faculty member. If you don't have a mentor lined up, please refer to the STEM Mentor Network. This is a great place to go to make that connection. All of the faculty that are listed in the STEM Mentor Network are faculty who have volunteered. They've already told the EPSCoR office at NSHE that they are interested in mentoring students, and they've provided that information to the STEM Mentor Network because they are interested in mentoring projects like this. So look there for some faculty members who align with your interests, who are at your institution, and do not hesitate to reach out to them and say, hey, I want to apply for this thing. Would you be willing to mentor? Or if not, is there another faculty member in your department that you know of who might be willing to mentor? Faculty are eager to, in most cases, to mentor projects like this. Here's a little bit about the review process. I will be convening a panel of faculty to review the applications. I do the scholarships and the fellowships separately. They will evaluate the quality and clarity of your proposed research, the relevance, again, to NASA and a NASA mission directorate. So again, you want to be as detailed in that as you can. They will look at your transcripts and evaluate the academic performance and their assessment of your preparation to do an independent mentored research project. The quality of the mentor recommendation letter. So please make sure that the faculty member clearly states in their letter that they are have agreed to mentor your project. And they will be looking for their project involvement. So please ask the faculty member when they prepare this letter to explain in their letter the extent to which they will be involved. How frequently do they expect to meet with you to help you evaluate your progress, to help you advance in the project? Are they going to be providing you with some data or some tools to use or access to a laboratory? Or are they going to be providing postdoc or graduate students from their lab to help assist with parts of the experiment? All of that should be included in the letter to make it clear how the mentoring relationship between the faculty member and the student will progress. And then based on your statement, they will be looking at your motivation and your interest in NASA-related or STEM topics as expressed in your personal statement. You will be notified by email after the selection process, and then those who are selected for the scholarship will again receive the scholarship through the financial aid office once we have the federal funds in place. So there's always a possibility that there will be a delay in us receiving our federal funds for the fiscal year that your award falls into. And so we are subject to that constraint. If you are selected, we will also ask you to provide us a headshot or photo of you in the lab or out in the field conducting research, and to sign a media release form. We like to show images of our students engaged in their activity. and we like to promote the projects that students are working on, and we will include this information on our website and perhaps in social media or through the through your institution's public affairs, if they take an interest in promoting student projects and things like this. And then you will be, again, asked to attend our statewide meeting and present your poster at our statewide meeting. And then we also engage in longitudinal tracking of students that participate in our programs. So you will be asked to fill out some surveys. You may be asked repeatedly to fill out the survey over the course of some time, even after you've completed your project. That's part of how we demonstrate to NASA the long-term impact of these projects. And so when students do a project through this program and then go on to attend graduate school in a STEM discipline or get a job or pursue a career in a STEM field, we track that information as being relevant to demonstrating the efficacy of these programs in engaging students long-term in STEM and in getting students into STEM careers. I think that's it for the details. The contact information for all of us are here. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. Be sure if you have questions about the application to reach out to us well ahead of the deadline. Again, we're happy to help, but we can't help you, or we can't guarantee that we can help you if it's 5 minutes before the deadline. So please get started early and bring your questions to us early. So that is the undergraduate scholarship. Let me just briefly click over to the same document for the fellowship. Much of the content is the same. But I'm going to highlight the areas that are different. So this is the graduate fellowship. This is for graduate students enrolled full-time in a STEM discipline at one of the research universities. The deadline is different from the scholarship deadline. So the fellowship deadline is March 13, so a week later. It also has that 5 p.m. Pacific time deadline. Again, the same rules apply. We want you to apply through the application on our website. But if you encounter some technical difficulty, we can accept your application by email in that situation. But again, only if we receive that application before that 5 p.m. deadline. Let me scroll down. So similar intent. The intent of this program is also to engage graduate students in STEM topics of interest and strategic importance to NASA in STEM-related topics. For both of our programs, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this when I did the scholarship, but this is for both of our programs, you must be a U.S. citizen, and I apologize if I didn't mention that for the scholarship. For our student programs, students must be U.S. citizens. That's just the way the law that establishes these programs is written. That's not our rule. That's Congress's rule, actually.
Eric, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I believe that the restriction on citizenship is only for the fellowships, not for the scholarships.
Is that correct? Oh, okay. Then I apologize. I misspoke. Let me just make sure that we've got that since I've got them both open here. Okay, so you're right. So that is not a requirement on our list of eligible criteria for the scholarship, but is for the fellowship. And so you must be a citizen for the fellowship program. You must be enrolled full-time in a master's or doctoral program in a STEM discipline. And we do allow this because this question comes up every year. We will accept applications for students who have been accepted to the graduate program for the next academic year, but have not yet enrolled because our deadline is so far ahead of the enrollment deadlines for for the university. So if you have been accepted to the graduate program but haven't enrolled yet, you can also apply. Please include a copy of the acceptance letter from the graduate program in your application so we can see clearly and verify that you have been accepted to the graduate program. And then just as with the scholarship, our graduate fellowship projects must be supervised by an NSHE faculty member. The dollar amount is different for the fellowship. The fellowship is a $20,000 fellowship that is only available during the academic year. You get the funds in 2 installments, $10,000 each at the beginning of the fall semester, and then again at the beginning of the spring semester. And then a key point here, because this comes up every year as well, this fellowship is not a graduate research assistantship or an employment-based position. So by receiving our fellowship, you we are not providing or guaranteeing employment as a graduate research assistant at your university. And that's important because that means that we can't guarantee the grant and aid tuition remission that comes with being an employee of the university. However, you can receive our fellowship and hold a graduate research assistantship or teaching assistantship concurrently. So receiving this fellowship does not prevent you from also having one of these assistantship employment arrangements at the same time. We encourage you, as we encourage all students who apply for our programs, please reach out ahead of time to the financial aid office to discuss your financial aid eligibility. Your employment status may affect how much financial aid you will be available to receive. And so that may actually affect the size of your fellowship in certain circumstances. Those are financial aid rules that we don't impose. So we just encourage you to go talk to your financial aid office because they have to follow the rules that they are subject to. Again, as with this undergraduate scholarship, if you received the fellowship last year, you can apply to receive it again. But we do give priority to new applicants just to make sure that as many students as possible gain opportunity to access these funds. So if we receive many more applications than we can fund, the new applicants will get priority over applicants from people who received the award last year. And again, incomplete or late submissions cannot be reviewed. Here are the criteria for the application. It's very similar in terms of the content. It's just really the main difference is that the research proposal has a 4-page maximum for the graduate fellowship as opposed to the 2-page maximum for the undergraduate scholarship. So we do expect a little bit longer, a little bit more detailed proposal from the graduate students for their project. All of the other elements are here. Recommendation letters as well. We encourage, generally the fellowship applications come with more than one recommendation letter. So at least one letter must come from the faculty mentor. Again, same rules as with the scholarship. We expect that letter to make clear that the faculty member has agreed to mentor your project and talk a little bit about the mentoring relationship between the faculty member and the student and how closely engaged the faculty member will be in the project. If you want to include letters of recommendation from other faculty or other mentors or other folks who maybe there's other technical experts who are going to be helping with the project or contributing to the project, feel free to include letters of recommendation from those individuals as well. And then again, this 1-page statement of interest, same as in the undergraduate scholarship application. And then in terms of the details of the proposal itself, same criteria apply. You'll need to tell us which mission directorate your project is aligned with. And please, in the narrative, please explain in some detail how your project relates to NASA's interests. There's an abstract, 50 to 100 words, brief abstract and title of your project, introduction, NASA relevance, the objectives and or the hypothesis that you're testing, the methodology and the research plan, timeline, all of this is the same as what we said for the undergraduate scholarship application. Let's see, review criteria are here. I believe these are essentially the same. It is a different panel, so I do review these graduate fellowships separately from the undergraduate scholarships. So it won't be the same faculty members necessarily reviewing the graduate fellowships. But for both the scholarship and the fellowship, please also bear in mind that I draw on faculty members broadly from across the NSHE system to help me review all of these applications. And I can't guarantee that any of the reviewers will be experts in the topic area that your project proposal relates to. So as you are preparing your proposal, please use language that would be generally understandable by a faculty member who is broadly knowledgeable in STEM disciplines, not necessarily with a lot of disciplinary expertise in your specific area. That's an important point. And then the other point that I want to make, which I didn't make with the scholarship, but applies to both the scholarship and the fellowship, is that we expect the students to write the proposal. So don't have your faculty mentor write the proposal or crib a lot of content from your faculty mentor. If your faculty mentor provides you with some content that they have written, papers or proposals that they've written, please make sure that the project proposal is written in your own voice. It's usually pretty obvious when this happens. We can generally tell, or the reviewers can tell, when a project proposal has been written by a student versus when it's been written or heavily edited by a faculty member. We want it to be in the student's voice, because these are intended to be, although they're mentored projects, they're independent study projects. They're really built to give students that independent research experience, and tackling the proposal writing is an important part of that experience. The rest of this, I believe, is the same. Again, only the deadline is different for the graduate fellowship compared to the scholarship. But otherwise, these details are the same. Our contact information, of course, is the same. Anything from Darlene, Arlene, or Marcy? Anything that I should have mentioned that I didn't mention? Marcy?
I will note, as Eric was saying, that the student needs to be the author of these, and the federal government is not accepting proposals that have been written by AI. So please be careful in the use of AI. Perhaps, you can ask them to help you do an outline of what a research project should look like, but you should not be using AI to write any of your narrative.
Thank you for that.
Sorry, one more thing. And I do think that you mentioned it, but I did want to note that if you receive an award from NSF, you won't be eligible to also get an award from NASA. So you have to choose one or the other.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Darlene. A lot of students do apply to the NSF EPSCoR student opportunity and apply to ours. And that's fine to apply to both, I believe. It's just if you get awarded an award from both, you do have to choose one or the other. So thank you for bringing that up. That's an important detail.
And
Okay.
you also, sorry,
Yeah,
just
go ahead, Darlene.
to extend that, you also won't be, if you get if you choose the NSF award, you won't be able to apply the following year with that same project information to the NASA. So it has to be completely different.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. Any questions? Feel free to type in the chat. Looks like there's maybe one incoming in the chat. Or you can turn on your camera and ask away. Either way is fine. Okay, so question. I'm a biomedical engineering graduate student who started last fall. My research uses low voltage nanosecond electric pulses to study cellular excitability and calcium signaling relevant to autonomic and stress-related pathways in astronaut health. Yes. Yeah, that's a good question. I think the goal here is to be as detailed as you possibly can. So it sounds to me if you can tie this project to astronaut health in some compelling manner, then it certainly would, in my understanding, be relevant to the human research program area that you have mentioned. I would say if you can align it to a specific sub-element under that human research program area, A4 section of that document, if you can align it with one of the subtopics, then you absolutely should. You should be as detailed as you can and as specific as you can about that relevance. I would say if your project doesn't necessarily concretely align with one of those sub-elements, I would say still go ahead and argue as best you can how your project is relevant to the human research program area. I mean, if you really think that this is important research for astronaut health, and that is the goal of the human research program area, then state so in your application. The level of relevance is a criteria that we evaluate against, but in some sense, it's a little bit relative. So projects that are more concretely aligned will score better. But depending on how competitive the competition is, if yours is a little less well aligned, it may still be fundable, if that makes sense. So I would say don't hesitate to submit your application, but do make it as specifically and aligned as you can, including referencing sub-elements if you can. I hope that's correct, or I hope that's clear. And if not, feel free to follow up. Any other questions? We're a small group. Oh, yeah, okay. So it doesn't sound like there are any other questions. Our contact information, again, is here. It's still visible on the screen there. I will stop sharing, though. So our contact information is there in the solicitation. Don't hesitate to reach out to us if there are questions as you start preparing your application. If you're unsure of the relevance for your project, feel free to reach out. We might be able to help with that based on my knowledge of NASA and its programs. If you are struggling to find a mentor, please go to the STEM Mentor Network. Start there. Do reach out to some faculty. We might be able to help if you're struggling, but I encourage you to start with the STEM Mentor Network and reach out to some faculty there. That's what that tool is there for. And if there's nothing else from the staff, doesn't look like it, then thank you very much for attending. and we will post the recording for students that weren't able to attend. And we'll leave it there. Thank you.